Welcome to Let's Be Smarter with Money. My name is Sam Smith, Senior Sales Professional and Master at the Craft of Making Money. On episode 4, we're going to talk about an emergency fund, why it's important to have one, and how to build one. When we think about how money can either free us or trap us, the worst moments in life is when we're trapped in that emergency. Well, insert emergency funds. I use Acorn as a source for building my emergency funds. And what I like about Acorn is that in addition to you making your weekly investment, they've created this roundup stream that creates more compounding interest opportunities. Now, my silent mentor, Suze Orman, recommends one to have 6 months of his or her living expenses as an emergency fund. A more realistic approach I read was via CNBC, which they recommend having $2,500 on standby. I would say make $2,500 your goal, because in most cases, $2,500 can solve and rectify an emergency. Now, I would say start wherever you are, even though it's recommended that one pay themselves by contributing 10% of whatever they make. But I think the reason why most of us are stagnant about taking action is because we think it's supposed to be done the way the experts say it should. I feel like if you are able to put up $5 a week, in addition to those roundup streams, at the end of the year, you can get a significant gain from that compounding interest. In most cases, stress would take over if you're not prepared. And I'll tell you about a time where I had an emergency and I was able to manage that stress. My furnace went out. Let's start there. And that was after multiple service calls. Now again, I didn't wake up saying, or my wife and we didn't wake up saying, this is a great day for our furnace to go out. But I think about, in most real life scenarios, when you're not prepared to drop $2,400, which is the price we were paid, but we were quoted $36, that can weigh on you mentally. You know, the decline of you goes down, anxiety takes over, and then ultimately stress takes the wheel. It's important to have an emergency fund, regardless of if you're able to get up to $2,500, pardon me. If you have an emergency in this lifetime and you're prepared for it, that ultimately helps you. You are in control. I feel like for you to be the person who spends the time making the money, trading your time for it, making the sacrifices, your money should and can protect you. But you have to be intentional about it. Even in retirement, you're going to need an emergency fund. So let that be your motivation and the reason why you stay on top of contributing to that. Now, Acorn does have an emergency fund feature, and if you're someone who is a little iffy about the stock market, I would suggest that. And the good thing about that is that you'll have access to your funds quicker. Now, someone like myself, if you looked at the last episode that we talked about how you should use a credit card and how you can get points or cash back, think about this scenario. You have an emergency, and because you have emergency funds, you can swipe that travel card or that cashback card. And now, not only did you manage the stress and you managed the emergency, but you also got somewhat of a gain from that. Look, wherever you are in life, it's important. You need an emergency fund. I wish we can go back to the days of great job security, consistent raises and promotions, but we don't live in that world today. I mean, if you ever heard the narrative that America isn't a business, when us Americans go through something, it's business as usual for the companies here. So it's important that you invest in yourself and be prepared for the emergencies, because I feel like most Americans today are frustrated because we're allowing ourselves to be trapped in the game of either being free or trapped with money. And there's a way out of that. Focus on you, focus on that emergency, and focus on preparing for that emergency. On the next episode, we're going to talk about home ownership and how that should be business training for you. Again, my name is Sam Smith, Senior Sales Professional and Master at the Craft of Making Money. Thank you.